Now, undisclosed is the fact that Ridge sits on the board of Exelon, which is this huge company that is heavily invested in nuclear energy and building nuclear power plants.
Tell us who Bernard Whitman is.
Bernard Whitman is a PR strategist and a pollster who has a firm here in New York. But if you watch TV, you would know him as a former Clinton administration pollster, full stop.
Well, let's watch TV for a minute. Let's go right now to Bernard Whitman.
Bernard Whitman is a former pollster for Bill Clinton and a Democrat sitting over on that side.
Honestly, Shep, I am so tired of talking about Sarah Palin. She's not ready for president.
Well, I'm sure you are, because she's the bane of the existence of the Obama camp.
Well,
of course
you know why? You know why? Because she has given John McCain the ability to duck the key question in this election, and that's the economy. And let me tell you why he wants to duck it. Because when he does have to answer that question, like he did yesterday, he said, let AIG fail. This shows just how little he understands the global economy today. That would have been catastrophic, and he was forced today to backtrack on that. We cannot afford to have someone who has been a champion of deregulation, who claims that he doesn't really know that much about the economy, to be in charge when our nation is facing the greatest financial crisis since the Great Depression.
That was Bernard Whitman on Fox. Sebastian Jones.
Well, the interesting thing is that Bernard Whitman in this clip, he may be absolutely right in what he's saying, but what they don't tell you is that Bernard Whitman's firm, Whitman Insight Strategies, has actually done work for AIG, and in the description of the work they've done for AIG on their website, there's actually a very amusing sentence that says they're there also to respond to ongoing marketplace developments. Well, if the crash and the bailout is not an ongoing marketplace development, I don't know what is. And the fact that, you know, here he is on TV talking about this specific company and the bailout of this company and political reactions to it without just saying that he had done some work for it, and without the network saying that he had done some work for it, is somewhat mind-boggling.
Mark Penn?
Mark Penn, again, a big PR guy, like Whitman, a veteran of the Clinton administration, but unlike Whitman, a very big player in the Clinton administration and a big player in Hillary Clinton's recent presidential campaign. Now, the other thing he does is he's CEO of Burson Marsteller, which is a humongous, a mega firm in the PR world.
Let's go to Mark Penn, but before that, Richard Gephardt, of course, former Congress member, and they're being questioned on television about health care.
Joining us now, former Missouri Congressman and former House Majority Leader Richard Gephardt.
It's cost and affordability. It's efficiency. That's the dominant issue. Yeah, we'd like to get everybody covered tomorrow afternoon. If we make the system more affordable, we'll be able to do that. Yes, we'd like to have a public option or a private option, but it's not essential if we can get the costs down.
Mark, I have a question for you. Given the polling out there, even the NBC News, Wall Street Journal poll that shows only 33% support this health care reform bill, what's the lesson from the Clinton years about what Obama should do with health care? Should they now do it piecemeal?
Well, remember, the signature line of the transformation of the Clinton administration at a similar time was the era of big government is over.
Right.
And they specifically went to a balanced budget. Look, here in healthcare, they also specifically went to step-by-step. Look, whether it's medical records, whether it's dealing with the next group of people, you know, above children, you know, young adults, there are a lot of step-by-step ways here to keep healthcare moving, because healthcare, it's obvious, now has to be a capstone of a successful administration, not something that any administration tries to jam in their first year or two.
Final words, Sebastian Jones, on Richard Gephardt and Mark Penn.
Yeah, I think both of them are actually similar in some ways, because they're presented as speaking from authority, talking about the Clinton attempt at health care. But Richard Gephardt runs a lobbying firm that consults for insurance companies, that has pharmaceutical companies as clients. Burson Marsteller, Penn's firm, also has pharmaceutical clients. And again, it's just not mentioned and, you know, just put out there as if this is their sage wisdom based on the previous effort. And it may well be, but there's just this other element that's left out.
You called the networks, their response to why they don't identify them for the whose payroll they're on?
Yes, and I had a very interesting, rather long discussion with the NBC News ombudsman, who also oversees MSNBC, and they're working on it, is the response, which, as we've discussed with Barstow writing about this for the past year and a half, 2 years, it's tough to understand how putting up a single line under McCaffrey's name saying also works for defense contractors or naming them specifically, how that takes 2 years to do, I don't know, but I don't work in TV, I guess.
Well, Sebastian Jones, thank you for your expose. It's called The Media Lobbying Complex. The talking heads of cable news are leading double lives as paid lobbyists for corporations. This is Democracy Now! When we come back, my colleague and co-host here on Democracy Now!, Juan Gonzalez, on